welcome to the stream. And today is the 28th day of June, the Lather Games, and we have another live shave. It's been really cool. Looks like I might complete the whole month bringing live shaves, and I've just had a blast doing it. Um, got my Chromebook over on the side to watch for the chats and stuff as they come up. Very cool. Let's go over the gear right quick. Today's theme is Influencer Day for the Lather Games. And it is for the shaver to pretend to be an influencer, to use a lather that they got for free, whether somebody sent it to them just for free or, how not a trade or anything like that. Hey, Peter, welcome. And and then one of the things is you're supposed to kind of pretend to evaluate it, and then you are supposed to claim that the fact that you got it for free is not going to affect your opinion at all. And I guess we're talking about when some of those influencers out there, the popular shaving guys, they companies send them stuff for free, and if they give it a good review, then they're more likely to receive more stuff in the future. And so I guess that's the thing. If you, there are a lot of guys out there who give nothing but positive reviews about so many things. It just seems to be a big pattern. And maybe that's kind of a little joke that this particular day and the write up for this day on the Reddit wet shaving sub is trying to kind of bring a little attention to. But I'm gonna have fun, and today I have a sample of Haven from Fitjar Islands, and it's a nice company up in I think Fitjar Islands is near Denmark. Commander Kim is a friend that's up in Europe, and this is easy for him to get. And he sent me the cream because I was interested in a scent for Haven. I tried Slatteroy, and maybe for other areas of the world, that's a nice lemony scent. But when I tried my Slatteroy hard puck, the full size puck that I purchased, it smelled exactly like a lemon furniture polish that we have here in the United States for decades. And so it didn't have any interest to me at all. And so I had to pass on that. Now, I would try the Slatteroy aftershave, and the woody nature of that, the woody aspect to that scent came out. And if the hard soap would have had that woody part in it, I probably would have kept it, but it didn't. It was mostly that lemony stuff. All right, so I was curious about Haven, and he sent me this little Haven cream sample. So I could have used this on cream day, which was earlier in the month. And so I will be whipping out my quarter teaspoon measuring spoon for that. So that's the lather for today, the soap for today. Fitjar Islands Haven, Havn. And I've had this brush soaking for a little while. This is a Macedo shaving, and it's a two-band. It's their two-band brush. This is the Memphis shaped handle. I like it a lot. It's almost too narrow for my fingers, but still I think pretty good. I bought the silver tip in the same handle as well. And then I'll have my Wolfman. This is my 46, a pretty low gap for a Wolfman. And this is also my hollow handle for the Aristocrat. Thank you, Peter. Yeah, I really like that brush. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that brush in relation to the Sterling and Maggard Razors finest brushes that I've kind of used recently. This is a hollow Aristocrat. I think it's the H2 handle from Wolfman, and it is lighter, and it's noticeably lighter. I think anytime I am going to order, I mean, I've got a few Wolfman razors, and so I don't really need any more. And so I would be thinking about trying to exchange all of my regular handles for the hollowed version because it's still got plenty of weight to it, and it's just easier to manage. I'm going to open up on my Chromebook my this very instance of this stream so that I could see your comments. They disappear a little too quickly on the camera there on the phone. And so it'll be nice to keep tabs on those. So let's go ahead and put the Nasset in play here. Take care, man. You're exactly right. Those Maggard SHD knots are wonderful for the price. N and 1 should be right there. A little couple of Sharpie dots, the remnants of them should be right there. And there's the glint of the bend in the blade that happened. What, use number 225 or something like that. All right, so let's put that in the razor here. Now, I have used this blade with this razor before, and it did not do well. I don't think it gave me a close enough cut. But I don't believe back then I had started using my against the grain pass to polish off my little trouble area here. So that'll be interesting. That'll be a difference today. Let's see, catch up here. Zachary said, send me all your soaps. I'll give them a positive review. That's great. All right, so I'm going to scoop up about a quarter teaspoon of the cream here. And the sample size here is really pretty generous. 10, 15, 20 uses, maybe. 10 or 15 would be my ballpark estimate there. That's really pretty generous for a sample. I think the cream performs pretty well. Right, and then that's when Peter jumped in and said, "Get in line." In America, it would be "Get in line, Zach." I recently, over on Wet Shaving in Reddit, I recently won an auction. It's not an official auction site, um, of course, but there was just a kind of an informal auction for a full set of Midnight Stag gear from Chiseled Face, and I love that scent. And the guy has actually joined me on this chat this month. Um, and on this stream here, Chewbacca, and he's going to donate the entire. He's going to ship it for free. He's going to pay the shipping costs, and whatever amount that a person paid, the maximum person, then that total amount was going for a benefit called Operation Kindness that is to help feed and care for dogs and cats and pets and stuff in the northern Texas area that are waiting to be adopted and things like that. So that's kind of neat. So I got some good gear, and we supported a cause, and it was also in honor of 120 and a 55 who recently passed away, part of our shaving community, and he was actually part of a good many communities. If you're on Badger and Blade, or maybe some of some Facebook groups and stuff, then you might have heard about that. All right, we do have my 40 milliliters of water handy. Now the waiting period. What are you talking about, waiting period? Now, is my thing going to scroll for me? Let me hit the maximize button. There we go. Yeah, I'm a huge fan of the Midnight Stag. Hey, my Chromebook here has frozen up on the video, so hopefully you guys are still getting it. All right. So let me get my face wet now that I've pressed the cream down in the bowl. All right. The other gear, I've shown you the core gear after the shave. This reminds you of Midnight Stag because this is Chiseled Face. Well, this is Trade Winds because Haven, in terms of Fit Jar Islands and that ship-going culture, The word haven in that language, etc., is uh, it refers to your home port. You've been out and it's been rough. You've been doing your job. You've been doing adventuring. You've been doing all this hard work, and you come back in and you've fought maybe the seas, there may be problems, and you now come back into the harbor. And because it's a harbor, the seas are now calm, and you're easing in to the harbor, and it's a safe place, and that's the haven. You know, that's what it is. And so haven has a slight woody scent, some citrus there as well, and it's very light. It's not a strong scent at all in this cream, and on this hard soap either. And in light of that kind of nautical vibe that it has, we're going with Trade Winds on Chiseled Face. I have tried Take Care Man. I have tried Loyal. I love it from Chiseled Face. I have tried it several times on this channel. You can look that up. That's the one I worked really hard to learn to use that soap tallow base. And I discovered how so much soap is needed to actually get that soap tallow base to work right. Anything extra to your questions? Yeah, I sure did. Oh, okay. Oh, he never made. Right, that was a limited run, perhaps. Um, Interesting. But yeah, oh, it's fantastic, and it's Loyal is not one that he was really trying to put together a unified scent for. It was something where for fathers and father figures and the men in people's lives who go out to the workshop and just and do what they need to do. They go to work, they do what they need to do, and it's all these notes just manly notes put together, and that's what Loyal is. And so I'm kind of surprised. I'm not surprised that there weren't any samples for it, but yeah, I'm a big fan on of that one. So Trade Winds is the uh, yeah, yeah. Well, I would. I mean, if any of the knowing what I know about it, I'm a big fan of it. So now I love how Chiseled Face gives you right under the title the main notes in the scent: Oriental spices, sea air, and cucumber. So that cucumber is there to kind of give it a freshness. And then um, the cologne at the end, the EDT, is from Sterling. I've used a lot of Sterling colognes. It's EMP, and EMP is here because we are dealing with nautical. We're dealing with adventures on the seas, and the main note on this guy, when you first kind of turn it on, is pineapple, a woody pineapple. So we're definitely having kind of a woody nautical theme going through all these scents. And EMP has an interesting story. This is one of the few EDTs that I don't think Sterling has a soap and a splash for. They just did it as an EDT, unless it was some kind of limited soap run and I didn't know anything about it. Apparently, people were calling for the Executive Man scent, that Creed Aventus dupe that is just crazy popular for good reason. I like it too. They were calling for that scent, but with the pineapple aspect of it amplified a bit, and then maybe some wittiness too, or something. You can read about it a little bit on Sterling's website or find a page about it. But but apparently enough people were calling for it that they did it, and so they created EMP. And I love woody notes, and I've discovered that there are some aspects of the pineapple type scents that I like, and so pineapple definitely fits in a tropical type environment, and woody matches these other the scent notes that we're talking about here, and so I felt like it would be a good match. This is very interesting. If you read the description and you were thinking it was a tweak of Executive Man, and if you're a huge fan of Executive Man, I think your first impression of this guy when you spray it on is going to be, this sucks, because the pineapple is very real and very strong and very forward. Those other balancing notes that are around Executive Man, you're not going to pick them up right away. That pineapple is too strong in the beginning. I'm not a good guess about that. I think so. Now, when I spray one of their EDTs on my neck, it seems to disappear quickly, but I think that's because I'm going blind to it. I'm answering a question here about do Sterling's last. However, lately, after reading an article, it talked about from one of our fellow shavers, it talked about put it in other areas because then you may not go blind to it as easily. And so I've started putting it on my wrist. And that has actually opened my eyes to how long many of these scents are lasting. Several hours seems to be still a pretty reasonable amount. And most of these Sterling do seem to be going that far. And so I don't think they're maybe as good as some of the other colognes out there, especially the really high dollar ones, but that's okay. These are not high dollar colognes. So I believe Sterling may have EDT samples. I think they do, tiny little sprays. And so if you're curious, go to Sterling's website, pick an EDT that you think you'll like, order a small sample, and then you can just spray it on your wrists and you can test out how long it lasts before you buy a big bottle. And while you're there, get some soap samples too, because they're just a crazy deal. They're great. They last about a month of shaves. So pineapple was the big guy, the big dominant part of EMP when I first sprayed it. I didn't mind it too much, but I really hoped it transformed, and it did. 15 minutes later, 20 minutes later, that main pineapple note burned off, and this neat kind of woodiness came up more. It was there when the pineapple was there, but it just wasn't as strong. The pineapple died back, and I was very happy with where it ended up. With many of those other notes now able to kind of flourish and be enjoyed. And so I think as long as people know that, then maybe they can enjoy the EDP. But you got to want and enjoy a big pineapple hit in the beginning. Otherwise, this one's not going to be for you. At least that is the first couple times I tried it. That's how it all worked out. Hey, Seth. All right. Very good. Welcome. All right. So we've got our Haven from Fit Jar Islands cream spread out. We've got our Macedo 24 millimeter Memphis handle, 2-band, finest badger brush. Shake most of the water out, and let's go at it. You know, maybe I should have been mixing up my lather. Sentence instead of telling about the scents first. Seth got final reveal pictures for my first custom brush. Hey, cool. Very nice. So that pretty quickly has turned into kind of a pretty stable mixture. So now we'll start adding the water. So about the brush, I've been playing with some kind of entry-level finest badger brushes during the Lather games here during the last week or so. At the cheapest, we've got the Sterling Badger brush, Sterling Finest Badger, about $34 or something like that. And I used it recently, and it's a wonderful little brush. It has a little bit more backbone. It's still not too much backbone for me. I still enjoy it, but it's not in the middle of the road. It seems to be a little more stiff than what you might call the middle of the road for backbone. And as you can see, we're starting to build that lather up. And then up in cost, we move to the Maggard about $6 more, and you can build your own badger, finest badger brush for what, $38 or so at Maggard Razors. And their two band, their finest badger knot, had a little bit more give to it and softer tips, and so I like the knot a little better personally. And then their handles were more ergonomic. I didn't really like the pores as much because they're bringing in inexpensive handles from China, but that's the way they keep their costs very reasonable. And so they're not marking it up like some people do. And so that's, if you want to pay a little bit more, get more ergonomic and a nice knot, then you can get the Maggard. Ah, you like the boar brush, Tonasama. How many uses do you have on your boar brush? Mine has about 25, 26, and man, it is still a stiff little beast. It's, I mean, it's got some flex to it. It's not scratching me up or anything, but I'm not really enjoying it quite yet. I know I will at some point, I think. But if you want to bore with backbone, then that sterling one is hard to beat. Okay, now you can see the lather starting to relax from those earlier drier peaks that we had before. Ah, yes, okay. Yeah, tough but soft. I think that's a good way to describe it. It'll get even softer in the next dozen uses. I'm counting on it getting a lot more manageable in like 100 uses or so. Better splay and get those tips to split, you know. So sterling brush for 32 or $34. The finest badger. Maggard for 38 or so dollars for their finest badger. And then this one right here. And I think it's like 44 or 48. So again, we're jumping up in price to Macedo. And of course, you can see this kind of handle looks totally different. And I like it a lot better. And I like this knot quite a bit. And it actually sits between, I think, between the Maggard knot and the sterling knot. And so all three are wonderful badger knots. Even if you're not a beginner, even if you're not looking for your first badger knot that's just gonna work well for you, I think they're great brushes just regardless. Now, creams often don't need to be taken quite as wet as I like to take them, and this one is, as you can see, pretty wet, so I better stop, I think. All right, now how are we? The scent not really coming up to my nose from the bowl as I've been working here. Let's get in it. Oh yeah, see, there's that citrus and woods. It's quite, citrus is stronger, a stronger part of the scent, but the woody is there to balance it out, keep it from being too, I don't know, cutesy or something, too standard, you know. So it's very pleasant, and I didn't like a lot of the choices from Fit Jar, but I love those hard soaps, and they have these cool wooden containers for them, and I was a sucker for that, and so I went ahead and ordered the Haven Hard Puck, and I'm glad I did. It performs well. It's not anywhere near top tier, but it's still good to me, and it's gonna last forever because it's a hard puck, you know. So we're good. So get my face wet. How much water did we add? Woof. That's 30 milliliters. That was I added water quickly that time. So let's just see. Now, on the off chance that I want to brush away any loose water, make sure it's out of my goatee, because this might be a little on the thin side in the light of that. I didn't know I'd added quite that much. Still got some backbone here. So this does have backbone very similar to the sterling brush. Matter of fact, it's got more. It's got more backbone. I remembered incorrectly. These are quite stiff. Now the tips are very soft. You know what I'm going to do? This guy is so stiff. I am kind of needing some more soap. And I'm just going to take some out with my fingernail from the container. Put it, and that's one cool, convenient thing you can do with creams if they're soft enough. Now, man, see, that's why I don't like face lathering. That part that just jumped off right there, that might be what had that wonderful piece of soap in there with it. Yeah, it's thickening up a little bit. So it's, now this kind of thin handle, it's really pretty, but it gets hard to hold on to if my fingers get soapy. Because as you can see, I don't know if you can see, but of course I've got great grip in the saddle here, but I don't have a lot of grip back here unless I kind of grip it like this. And so it's not as ergonomic as something with a little bit more junk in the trunk. Yeah, there we go. So yeah, I did add water a little too quickly. It got carried away, a little too wet. But it's starting to stabilize now. So we are going to continue for another minute or so, just working the lather into my face, giving enough time to absorb and then be able to protect. A lot of backbone here. This is one of those that I kind of hope relaxes a bit. I forgot it was this, had this much backbone. And there are people who love this much backbone. There are people who, especially who like the declaration knots, you know, that are known for that stiffness. And the tips have been treated, so they are kind of extra soft. Not jelly though, and I like that. All right, let's see. Got the Wolfman 46 gap WR1, and that is a very mild gap. They sent out the prize list. There are 63 different prizes. Okay. Okay, right. We were talking about that, Seth. And I think we were able to settle it. You had two different options, and we were able to kind of settle and think about what you wanted and come to a really good spot. So I hope you like it. I really do. What company did you choose to go with your custom brush? Oh, right, Tonosama, you treated your boar brush. You soaked it for a week. Yep. And oh, wow, you even worked your tips against a stone to split them. Sure. Okay. Okay. That's a very aggressive policy. And hey, it's an inexpensive boar brush. Do what you want, um, if that's what you want to do. Yeah, rinse. So yeah, yours is going to be very different than mine since yours is quite modified. I have soaked mine like for an hour before each use, you know, kind of thing. So I did soak mine more than just using it, but I definitely didn't work the tips on some kind of abrasive surface. And Tonosama likes the backbone. Yep. Oh, and he likes the hard pucks as well. Pretty cool. Oku is the brush that custom brush that Seth is requesting. I've never heard of them. Pretty cool. Ah, nice. No, I have never used Mr. Fine's Stout Synthetic. That knot looks just like the Plasan type um, synthetic that's just been out and everybody uses it. And so I definitely, and it was too stiff for me. So I definitely didn't, although I like the looks of those synthetic brushes that Fine has, a great little kind of nostalgic look to it. Because it's that, looks like that Plasan knot that I don't like. I pushes me around too much backbone for me. Um, I have definitely not wanted to try one of those. Oh wait, I think I have tried this really small version. I can't remember the. Here's the motion. If you got one of those synthetic brushes like the Plasan type, when you do this, I switch directions and I come back. It's really shovey. Now with these wonderful soft tips here of this two band, it kind of gives a little bit more, and so it doesn't feel like those synthetics do. It's a lot better. So yeah, that citrus coming through. And now after working, giving the brush a little bit of exercise, I feel like you can see all this on my shirt. Sometimes that's a sign you maybe needed to work the lather for a little bit longer. But I think it may be a result of these really stiff tips. I think it kind of flicks the lather. And so maybe if I modified my technique a little bit to maybe not be so quick and fast, then maybe it would do less flicking. So maybe I could help that. I've never used any PAA brushes. I'm sure he, borrows knots from, uh, the normal venues, um, the same ones that AP Shaveco uses and things like that. So, like the Timberwolf and the Cashmere and all those guys. Ah, nice. Seth is really happy about the lather he made last night. Very cool. Super creamy, but just falling off the razor. Now, of course, everybody may like their lather different, but yeah, man, that sounds like a great lather to me. Almost falling off the razor. Now that sounds like a well-hydrated lather. All right, now cross grain. I'm getting a little bit of tugging here, but it's not uncomfortable or anything. I mean, it is the kind of thing where a lot of guys would say, I'm going to pitch this blade. And I don't blame them, because who doesn't like a nice, smooth, clean feeling cut, to where you just feel like you're, knife through butter kind of thing. But yeah, this stuff is just dripping right off. Most creams don't perform quite as well as your average decent uh, crope or hard soap, and I don't think this one's an exception. I think the hard soap version is a little better performance. And rinse. It's so funny when I go down to rinse, all this stuff on my shirt kind of gets on my arms and it gets really messy. All right. A&E has a good base. I've tried a couple of their soaps. Good performance there. chest there. Hey, while we're here, let's check the feeling of the lather. I believe that in this case I watered it a little bit too much. And so yeah, we've lost a good bit of that really nice slickness. It's too wet, but it does give a little bit of slickness left in terms of contact. It's um, very wet, very much resistance when you squeeze it. So it's going to get the job done, but I got it too wet. Got a nice scent though, that nice pleasant citrus woodsy scent. Cross grain, probably one last time. And that's why it's dripping off my face, because of my bad. This is a razor here that is so mild, or not. Let me not say that. The way this gap is arranged and everything, I've used blades that work well for me in so many other razors, and they don't work well in this one at all. Okay. So I got a feeling this is one of those that's going to require it's kind of right on the edge there of being like too mild. And so I'll need to find those perfect blades that work with it. So I started a little chart, a little table, so that I can evaluate them. All right, so we'll go cross grain now from the other direction. Light touch as usual. Pretty comfortable. That's encouraging. Then cross grain again. And then that seems to do pretty good. So now here is the difference between past shaves. And now this against the grain pass. That's a good question, Tona-sama, or yeah, Peter, time to flip the blade. I believe that when I flip it, that the bent piece is now going to be down, and so that will represent an even milder part. And so I think that will transform both sides into kind of equally mild. And then the side with the dent is going to have an extra mild portion that may be less effective. But with the amount of buffing that I do, I'm thinking that's going to be fine. So I think we're going to be in a nice situation when we do have to, when I do flip it. Okay, so now against the grain, a little clean up around the sides, come in it almost like a pincer movement, left then right, so I can kind of sense the grain of the hair. Pretty comfy so far, a little tuggy, kind of bitey, that kind of thing, but not really too bad at all. I think this is going to be a winner. And then if I want to just kind of pick up the extra, throw a little bit more on, hit it more, and see, when you have a light touch and a nice wet lather, and see, this one of course is too wet like we talked about, but it's doing a great job. It's doing its job of protecting. I think we end up with a nice close shave right there. All right, good rinse, felt good. Nice slick feeling on my face. The Nasset is currently, this is use number 405. 405. And hey, we figured out yesterday that it's a 9-second delay from what I say to when many of you guys hear it. Now, it would be interesting to see if Peter in South China had the same 9-second delay as somebody in the eastern United States where I am. But yeah, that's crazy. It's crazy. So, man, that was nice. So I had to bring in a little bit more soap because I wet it down too much. And so I do have just a little bit left. You know, I could probably do a pass out of that. Maybe even two if I really squeezed it, you know. Um, nice, enjoyable, pleasant scent. Not too, definitely for, if you consider yourself a person who likes mild scents, who chases down those mild scents, then then this would be a consideration for you. If you're looking for adventurous scents or bold scents, then I don't think this company is going to kind of be all that great for you. Let's take a look. Oh, that's really, really a close shave. Very happy with that. Um, Reasonably comfortable. There are a few that have been better for me in that against the grain pass this month, but that's really not too bad. That's really pretty good. Excellent, excellent. So, trade wins, trade wins. And this is one that has like menthol and alcohol, of course. So, you know, you can potentially get a good jolt of alcohol burn and a little bit of stinging in the eyes if you're as sensitive as I am. And if you've got some good ingredients in there, then put it all over your skin. Yes, feel the burn. Some people enjoy it. That's part of their, especially if you're shaving in the morning, it can be a good wake up, you know. I could see somebody kind of stumbling in, being a part of their routine, and then shaving and kind of still a little bit groggy, and then that aftershave burn and the menthol kind of wakes them up with some zest, you know, and they might like a Baker Street type of scent that's got a sharp citrus with some punch to it to kind of liven things up. Yeah, right. Slapping me into reality. All right, well, there we go. I'm feeling the burn. I'm feeling the menthol, mainly the menthol. Um, hey, I just won a Midnight Stag full set. I think I maybe mentioned that in the beginning. And it is from Chiseled Face, of course, and it contains the splash that looks pretty much just like this, but it's the old version. It's the white label that Chiseled Face used before this, and so it's got the cool factor there. And it consists of the shave soap, the splash, the cologne, the bar soap, and also a mask that Chewbacca wore in one of his shave of the day shenanigans that he did. He actually got his wife to pose in the mask in the woods, and he was pretending to like hunt her down and stuff, you know, or not hunt her down, but we have a sighting, or, you know, that kind of thing. It was really funny. He made some good write ups this time. Uh, yeah, yeah, and so I've got that Midnight Stag coming on the way now. I didn't really need it. I don't have the Midnight Stag cologne, and I may not have the bar soap, but I already had the splash and the shaving soap. Matter of fact, I had duplicates of the shaving soap, but it was for a good cause, and why not get the other Midnight Stag stuff? I'm a huge fan. I'm just confident that's the soap I'm going to use for August again. Ah, okay. Tono-sama is a Stag fan. Very cool. Very cool. It's a it's divisive. It is polarizing. People just love it or hate it, but I'm just a huge fan. Now, let's see, what am I getting out of this trade winds? Oriental spices, sea air, cucumber. It almost smells powdery. The cucumber's not strong, so if it's providing that kind of freshness, almost like a water type scent, then it's doing so from the background. You know, it smells something like an existing soap that I know of. It's reminding me of something. Sea air. Wonder what he put in to do sea air. The menthol burn's still happening, but it is dying down. All right. Um, Southern Witchcrafts. The brush side of Southern Witchcrafts, so I guess Dogwood Handcrafts. Um, he is a huge fan of Midnight Stag. Huge fan. And so it's fun to play around with him. Uh, oh, does this one have any skin food in it? Witch hazel, aloe, calendula, vitamin B5. So it's got some good stuff. Not bad. The alcohol burn faded really quickly, but the menthol is still going. All right, so yeah, those spices are in there. I mean, I don't know if I would call that trade winds, but I can see why some people like it. I mean, it didn't really smell too nautical to me. So I'm kind of thinking that the EMP might be a welcome addition here because with those spices, if I brought in something sweet like that pineapple, then it could make it to something I enjoy a little bit more instead of staying so kind of thick and spicy. So let's see what happens here. All right. Very cool. So let me clean up my gear. Three, maybe four passes basically, and I got a wonderful close cut right here. I probably could use a little bit more work over here, but it's really pretty close. It's fine. So there we go. Thank you guys for joining. Oh, in my post-shave routine. No, I have oily skin, and so I don't need anything like that. The alcohols are actually handy for me to kind of mitigate the oily skin. I definitely have been known to use Sterling's Balm pretty regularly. I enjoy those. A good bargain, and they work pretty well. But I'm definitely not going to be buying too much in terms of skin food, um, especially anything that's pricey because it's just wasted on me. I'm thinking, in fact, of switching to maybe like an unscented balm or post-shave product, and then using colognes to then provide the shave after the scent after the shave. Of course, those are generally going to last longer than the splash. And so then I'm not really buying post-shave products like splashes and balms that are specifically related to the soap that and I don't really buy sets anyway. But then it's the EDP or the EDT that I'm matching to my soap instead of the balm, that kind of thing. And then I could bring in maybe even just normal witch hazel as the aftershave item, um, since I'm sticking with an unscented product in that in between post shave. Okay, Tonosama, I think he likes his post shave routine. He's got some quality things. Um, Olay Complete. A friend of mine, shaver, he uses Olay Complete after his shaves. He's got very, very dry skin, and he's been using it for years and years, and he just speaks so highly of it. And so if you've got really dry skin, I can pass that along to you as a possible good suggestion. I've heard tons of great things about CeraVe as well. Again, I can't speak from personal experience, but I've heard wonderful positive things about both of those products. Ah, yeah, right. Sure, I could see that aftershave scents in the morning and unscented stuff at night. Because, yeah, and that's something I've been thinking about. Why waste an EDT when you're about to jump in bed? Yeah, exactly. That's one thing that I'm kind of as I'm trying to formulate my new theory. That's something I am keeping in mind. The pineapple, it didn't hang around quite as long. We've fallen back. The pineapple's still there, but those other woody, kind of warm woody notes are coming around there. I think that's a really nice mix with the trade winds from Chiseled Face. So a very nice pairing there, as it turns out. I'm just guessing, and I guessed right. Okay. Also, if you're mentioning balms, Zingari Man, I've heard, has a wonderful balm. Like I said, I'm not really qualified to judge it. I've tried it; it felt great. Seemed to do a good job. But my natural oily skin kind of comes in and takes over, and so I don't really feel the rescue part of a good balm. Soap Commander is another balm. You can get a version with some menthol, and then they have it unscented with no menthol, and that's a good quality balm that has been spoken highly of for such a long time. When Zingari Man came along, and Heather with Zingari Man is a certified cosmetology chemical, something under some organization. And so skincare is really her deal. I think the Soap Commander balm held that nourishing position in terms of people's recommendation for quite a long time. I think it started to get replaced by the Zingari balm in the recommendations that I've seen. I think they're both still really great, so you really can't lose. Zingari scents are also very mild. From my experience, I've tried a half a dozen of her scents, and so you're not going to have to worry about her products clashing with anything. All right. Yes, I think it was just 30 milliliters today, used up with just a touch more than a quarter teaspoon of the cream. And I did overwater it too much, my fault. And and all the scents worked really well together. And so this soap, this cream, was provided with me at no charge, and in no way did it affect my evaluation. That's part of the thing today. And the daily challenge today is about trythatsoap.com. If you're a shaver and you don't know about trythatsoap.com, let me help you out. It is a website a guy started, and he is keeping track of the scent notes, and it's a library of our shaving stuff. And so Reef Point soaps, they shut down. Well, they may not maintain their website forever because that costs money, right? And so those entries have been put into trythatsoap.com. And your friendly Pyro is the username of the guy who does that website. He's on Reddit, and he's very active on Reddit. And so today's kind of his part of the daily challenge. I'm so grateful for all the work he's done because, like I said, if you've got an older product that's disappeared, the product pages are gone, and you don't want to have to try to filter through the Wayback Machine, or I mean, sometimes you can find stuff in reviews, but when they're in trythatsoap.com, that really helps you. And he lists the scent notes that have been put in for that, and then he will put in the description that the manufacturer had if possible. Often he'll have a picture, and he does the splashes, the soaps, all that stuff. And so it's a wonderful resource. Now, he's got other features like tell me other soaps that have a similar ingredients, similar scent notes to this one. And so there's some potential there for it to help you find other soaps that you're interested in. If you have a super favorite that you like, plug it in. Now, let's say that there is molasses in a scent that you like, but it's a very small, minor note. And then there's this other scent on the other side of the world that has molasses, has a huge note. Well, his site is not smart enough to have the percentages because that would be a relative figure anyway. But it's possible it could recommend something that is very different because a small note in one soap could be a large percentage of the scent in another one. But it's probably better than blind guessing. Let's put it that way. And at least it's good to read about because it may bring certain soaps to your attention that you didn't know about. Then you could start doing further research on them, how people like them, so that sort of thing. You can put your shave library into the system. You create a login, put all your stuff in, and so if you like to post shave of the days on any of the online forums, then you can use that tool. And it's a matter of going through drop downs and clicking things that this is what I use, this is what, that kind of thing. Maybe add a few notes, and then it will either, I don't know if it automatically posts it for you or if it generates the text so that you can post it. I don't know for sure, but it does make that kind of thing easier. And then, and one of the neat things it does is this: if it puts a soap in there that has an entry into trythatsoap.com, then when you post it, I know at least on Reddit it does this, that it will actually make it a hypertext so that it points to that soap on trythatsoap.com. So that's a nice reference for people if they look, oh, he's using Saponificio Veracino Apuntio. What the heck is that? Well, it's a link, and so you can tap on it and look at all the scent notes on trythatsoap.com. Pretty cool. He doesn't charge for the service, as far as I know, and so it's a really neat research tool, fun to play around on. If once you get your whole library added into that system, then you can do a random shave of the day. You can say, just pick me stuff, and then because if you're feeling funky, you don't know exactly what to shave with, you can put that in. Oh, I'm gonna sneeze. Excuse me. So you got the random shave of the day aspect as well. So it's a neat service. And one of the challenges was to maybe recommend a new feature to the site. Um, and I was reading online some of the posts today. Somebody had a really good idea. Oh, you know what it was? It was to pre-fill your shave of the day info with what you used the day before, because some people will use the same stuff over and over. And at the very least, it could pre-fill with most of what you use, and then you would change one thing, like I'm gonna have a different aftershave today, and so it still helped you to be a little faster with your filling out of the form. And I thought that was a good idea. Another thing you could do is find some products that aren't listed in that database. And sure enough, I looked through my soap inventory list, kind of the first half of it, and I found about a dozen soaps that weren't in there. And so I'm going to put that in to fulfill the daily challenge. So pretty cool. Most of them were either kind of really old discontinued things. Another couple of them were so new that they just haven't made it in there yet. It's an effort of love that he does for his hobby. And so when you submit new things to get them put in, it may take a while because, I mean, the guy's got a job and a family and, that kind of stuff. But it's a neat service, and so that's the daily challenge for today. And so I've got that one. I've got that one in the bag. All right. I think we're good. I think. Let's see how the scents are shaping up here. It really settles down. I mean, it's still pineapple-y, but it settles down into something really nice. Both of them still working very well together. So I'm a happy camper. That's a fun smell. A little fun smell story there. All right, guys. Well, I think that'll be it. So great to join with you guys and talk about stuff. Seth, I'm so glad that you had such a good experience with whipping up that lather, and looking forward to maybe seeing a picture of your custom brush, something like that, when you get it. Very cool. And I'll definitely look up that company and check them out. I never heard of them, so very cool. And Tono-sama, great to talk with you today. And so Tono-sama might be the guy to contact if you are a big post-shave fan. Maybe you've got dry skin, and you are interested in addressing that and helping with healing and stuff. Sounds good. Peter, lunchtime over in South China. Very cool. And Seth, yeah. Oh, that's right. Seth's got his good experience with that as well. Cool. Very cool, guys. Wonderful. Take care. And I think that is it for today. Good smells today. So influencer day, and so we kind of pretended to evaluate, but that's kind of what I do anyway. So that wasn't too much of a stretch, right? All right, guys. Have a good night. Bye for now.